What's up, Magnum Sports Network fans? My name is JT Magnum here along with Siggy Guns, and welcome back to Take Two. Today we're going to be talking about Antonio Cromartie, talking about Richard Sherman, saying another cornerback to come out and say that Richard Sherman is not the best cornerback, and that if he wants to be the best and say he's the best, then cover the best all game long. Now, this has been a heated debate for the last 2 years now, talking about this, because Richard Sherman pretty much self-proclaims himself the best cornerback. What do you think about this whole thing?
I never thought he was the best cornerback. In my opinion, obviously, I'm a Jets fan. I've always thought, when he was a Patriot last year, that it was Revis. Cromartie makes a perfect point. He's always, at least Revis is. Actually, Cromartie does it too. I wouldn't put him up there, but he's always covering the best receivers, and he has a habit of making those receivers not get at least 100 yards. And he had like a string of it for a long time. I remember back in the days whenever Chad Johnson used to have a list of all the cornerbacks that he'll have 100 yards on. Revis had a list of all the ones he was keeping under 100, and he was always making sure Chad Johnson knew that he was on that list. This is a guy that shuts down top receivers, and teams have to game plan for him. Teams don't necessarily game plan for Sherman. The whole Legion of Boom is who they're game planning for. And, Cromartie is right. Unfortunately for Sherman, he's not the best cornerback in the NFL.
Wow. Yeah, I agree with you. I have a different point. Seattle plays a scheme-based defense. Richard Sherman, to me, is a product of a scheme. Now, first of all, I want to say I got big-time respect for Seattle Seahawks defense, big-time respect for the LOB, what they do, how they play the game, and just how good they are as a team, as a unit, and how they just shut down passing offenses. You got to give credit to them. They're all good at what they do. But the thing is,
which is true. I'm not taking any credit away from that. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, Sherman's getting paid good money. He's playing real good. He's a Pro Bowler. I'm not going to disagree with that.
He's a good cornerback. I agree. He's a good cornerback. He studies the game. He studies the tape. He studies tendencies. He knows what people are doing. But he's the product of a scheme. He stays on one side. Rarely does he follow that top elite wide receiver throughout the whole game. Will he cover the wide receiver during the game? Yes. He might do it on occasion if that receiver lines up on that side. And people are making arguments of the stats this and the stats that. You can't throw stats into this when he doesn't follow the wide receiver through the game, because if he's playing a Dez Bryant, last year they played the Cowboys. He didn't follow Dez Bryant around. He only covered Dez Bryant when Dez Bryant was on his side of the field, or when they were playing a certain defense, and if they're playing man, then he went to Dez Bryant on that side and he followed him. But he didn't follow him the whole game. It's one of those things where the stats can kind of lie to you, because yes, he has more interceptions. Yes, they're not throwing to him as much because he's that good or whatever. I understand that, but he also doesn't have. You also have Cam Chancellor in back of you, Earl Thomas on the other side, and when you're playing that cover three that they play a lot of cover three. It's who's going to basically throw to that side when you're just playing that side of the field. You don't have to worry about anything or trailing a wide receiver when all you're doing is playing your zone. So that's the kind of thing that I see about Richard Sherman. I think he's a good cornerback. I don't think he's a bad cornerback. But if the case was where he was following an elite wide receiver the whole game, then those stats would go way down, because I think Richard Sherman would get beat, because he got burnt by T.Y. Hilton last year. He got burnt by Deshaun Jackson. I've seen him get burnt by Roddy White and Julio Jones. The guy can be burnt. The guy has his moments, but at the same time, he can be burnt by wide receivers, but he doesn't check them the whole game. So I think to be the best, you have to say you're the best, and I still think that Darrelle Revis is the best cornerback in the league. I don't put Patrick Peterson up there yet, because he does cover the toughest wide receivers the whole game, but he gets burnt a lot. But as for Revis, he shuts down people. He still shuts down people, and he's getting older.
Yep. Exactly.
So if Richard Sherman
Cromartie put Joe Hayden up there also, and Joe Hayden's also been a very good cornerback. He's pretty much saying, with Patrick Peterson and all that, at least they're doing it the whole game, staying on a number one.
Exactly. So I know a lot of Seahawks fans will hate on this, and it's okay. You're all welcome to give your opinions. You're welcome to put your stats out there. You're welcome to say that we don't watch the games. Just to let you know that Siggy and I do have the NFL package. We both watch Seattle games. I watch them. I actually watch my 49er games because I'm a 49er fan, and that's not why I'm saying this, but because I have like I said, a lot of respect for that Seattle team. That Seattle team is good, and that LOB is good.
Well, I can already tell you what the Seahawks fans are going to say. They're going to the number one example that they had where he actually did real good was whenever he blocked Crabtree's game-winning attempt, in the against the 49ers. Not last
but
year.
Even that was cover. Even
before,
that
right?
was cover 3. Even that was cover 3
Well,
because the linebacker,
saying,
because Malcolm
that was
Smith.
That was his biggest moment that they're probably going to say, hey, look, he was in this play, the biggest play, obviously, of the game. That pretty much got them into the Super Bowl, which is true. And like I said, we're saying Sherman is a very good cornerback. I would put him in maybe the top 5. I don't necessarily know if I would put him number 1. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
So Cromartie, even though he can't say he's in the top 5, I think what he's basically trying to say is you can't say you're number 1 if you're not blocking number 1 all the time on the opposite end.
Exactly. That is what I say. I mean, you can argue it all you want. There's all these stats that people like to throw around, and there's all these things that people like to throw around.
I hate when they talk
but
stats.
You have to throw the game film. You have to watch him in the games. He never, all game long, checks the number 1 receiver, and it's not his fault. It's not his fault that he doesn't do it. It's part of the scheme. It's not his fault, but it is his fault that he opens his mouth and says he's the best when he's not, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to your point about stats, I hate whenever they bring up stats. There was one year when I think Woodson beat Revis for Defensive Player of the Year. Revis got thrown to, I think, only like 40 times a whole season that year. It was ridiculous that he would be not considered the Defensive Player of the Year because it was literally every quarterback was scared to throw to him, so he couldn't have stats. Woodson has 9 interceptions that year, whatever it was, because they think they could beat him, and then obviously he was doing good, but if you can't throw to Revis because you're so scared of him, of course he's not going to have stats.
Yeah, exactly. So let us know what you guys think in the comment section. Let us know what you guys think about the whole thing. Who do you guys think is the best cornerback in the league, hands down, and tell us why. All right? So for JT Magnum, Siggy Guns, take 2, we out. Peace.